All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's a little bit after 2, and I want to welcome everybody to a very, very important video. My name is Chris, and of course, this is Barn on 11970. And while I'm waiting for a couple people to get in, because the more you listen to this from the beginning, the better you're going to understand. So while I'm waiting, I just want to let everybody know if you want to leave questions, ask questions, make statements, make comments, or anything like that. If you follow me on my Google Plus page, you can ask questions there. So you have to have a Google Plus page and you follow me there, and you will see the live broadcast on my Google event page. Click on it to open the window. Then you will see the ability to ask questions. So if you want to do that, you are more than welcome to. So I see a bunch of people coming in, and this is something, there's going to be a lot I'm going to be talking about. Trust me when I say there's a method to my madness. I need to do a little history, a little background to be able to put in perspective of what is going to be happening. Now, I'm going to say right off the bat, I hope it doesn't happen. And this is something I want to stress beyond stressing. This is not based on fear. This is based on a purely observational standpoint. And that is what I want anybody listening to this video to view it as. The best analogy I could say is if you were on the Titanic, and let's say you were on vacation, and you knew an hour in advance that that ship was going to sink and everybody pretty much is going to die. That's going to be scary. You're going to be afraid. But if you know in advance, you will probably be one of the people standing by the life raft waiting to get on it. So I understand why a lot of this stuff can be pictured as doom and gloom and fear. That's to control you. That's to keep you away. That's to make you shut off your logical part of the brain where you can actually process information and think about things, and you'll just react. So this whole thing that I'm about to expose from what I've with years of research is based on people's emotions. So please keep that in mind. So again, this is not going to be based on fear, although it's going to be scary, some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about. The people that listen to this will know in advance what's coming, so they won't be surprised. Better to be on that life raft on the Titanic, where it's cold and dark and you don't know where you are and your vacation was ruined, than to be one of the people on the ship. Keep that in mind. So there's a method to my madness, so please listen to this entire video. Now I have to give a little background because this is relevant. This is years of studying all coming into play for this moment that's coming in this election. This is going to be the most important and life-changing election that we've probably had in our history. Keep that in mind. Now, if you may or may not know at this point that in 1971, Richard Nixon convinced the entire world to take their monetary systems off of gold standards. So no one in the world since 1971 has had their money backed by anything. What that basically did was it started the beginnings of what would eventually become the petrodollar. And if you're not familiar with the petrodollar, to give a brief synopsis about it, it was created around the 80s. It was us helping the third world Middle Eastern countries like Saudi Arabia and others. They had tremendous amounts of oil, but they didn't have the money to bring it up from the ground and refine it and sell it. It's like you having an oil field underneath your house. If you don't have the billions of dollars to get it up, it doesn't matter what you have. So we made a deal with certain governments in the Middle East saying, we will help you get out your oil, and what you have to do in return is any country that wants to buy oil has to convert their currency into US dollars first. It's called the petrodollar. So again, this is going to make sense into this, so please be patient. This is going to be a longer video, but there's a reason for that, because I want people to understand, especially newer people. So even the people who know about this stuff, trust me, stay here, listen to what I have to say. It's going to make sense. There's a reason why I'm setting this up. So we now have the US dollar basically since around 1971, and it got stronger as it went, is the world currency. Because again, they have to convert, other countries have to convert their money into, or their currency into US dollars. What that does is it takes all of that money. If you look at usdebtclock.org, they show how much money we're borrowing, and that's what they let us know. It's in the trillions, multiple trillions. And the reason that it's not affecting us in the way that you would think, like when they talked about the collapses, and even I talked back in 2012 before I really knew what was going on, is because they're exporting a lot of the debt all around the world. Now, I'm going to show you a screen share of a link of something that you may or may not know about that happened this year. Now, I've been warning people about China for years. I got ignored, I got laughed at, and I warned people that this day was coming, and it's here. So again, this is just the beginning of this. So even if you know about this part, keep in mind there's more to this, so stay tuned. Now, I will post the link once this has uploaded, but there are many different links that you could pick from. I just picked one. Now, if you read right here, let me make sure first it is being presented. Okay, so it's being presented. Now, obviously, fair use, I'm not going to read the entire article, but this is of major importance. On the 19th of April in 2016, China was rolling out its new gold-backed yuan. Russia's ruble has been fully supported by gold for the last couple of years. Nobody in the Western media talks about it. Now, I'm just going to leave that there, and I will post the link, or you could just Google China has gold-backed yuan, Y-U-A-N. Now, again, the relevance is, in 1971, Richard Nixon convinced the entire world to go off the gold standard, which means they don't have to be fiscally responsible. In other words, if they had gold, they were limited to the amount of money they could produce. Now that they took the whole world off the gold standard, they could print as much money as they want, which is great for the corporations, great for the politicians, very bad for the people, because over time, the more that they print, the more it puts them in debt. That sets the stage for the Democratic Party to come in and give a lot of free stuff to people. That's why over 33% of Americans to this day are on welfare. Over 110 million Americans are on welfare. So they are getting free stuff from the government. And of course, who wouldn't like stuff for free? But like they say, nothing in life is free. So they've set the stage for people to be dependent on the government. Now, the Republican side is all about the warmongering. It's all about the fear. It's getting control and starting wars and things like that. So it's the whole good cop, bad cop scenario. Okay, so we now have a gold-backed yuan that started in April. Not one news media is going to talk about this, but they're going to talk about, for the past 6 or 7 days, what Donald Trump said to that family. Right or wrong is irrelevant. They're not focusing on the fact of what Hillary Clinton has done. They're not focusing on what's going on with the gold. And I always tell people they use events as distractions. Whether they are planned or not, they take this information and run with it. So I'm going to start getting into what is going on. And again, this is not based on fear. Although the stuff will be scary, remember, like I said in the beginning, if you were on the Titanic and you were going on vacation and you learn an hour in advance that the ship is going to sink, yeah, you're going to be upset. Your vacation's going to be ruined. You don't want to go out on a life raft in the middle of nowhere in the darkness and the cold. But I guarantee you'd rather be on that boat that's the life raft than on the boat that's sinking. So keep that in mind. The information I'm going to give is going to be very scary. It's going to make you angry. But as you could see, the average person just doesn't care. So you can take this information in advance and prepare for it, so you will be an observer. And that's where this is going to lead us. So, why is this relevant to this election, and why did I start out by saying this is going to be the most important election? You've always noticed that throughout history, the Abraham Lincolns, the John F. Kennedys, the Martin Luther Kings, lots of people that tried to speak truth get either assassinated, imprisoned, or humiliated. Okay. So we know that to be true. So with what Donald Trump is saying at this point, he's basically saying that the political system is fraudulent, it's rigged. He's saying the same thing about the media, and yet he's still allowed to talk. There's a reason for this, and I'm going to go into it now, so pay very close attention to this because this is important. You have, on one side, you have Hillary Clinton. Okay. She's been in office now for 25 plus years. Nobody can name any accomplishments that she's done. Most people are voting for her, and you could see news report after news report, especially on the women's side, they're voting for her because they want the first woman president. There's nothing wrong with wanting the first woman president, but how about the first qualifying woman to be president? Okay. Now, I made a video about a year ago, and I could post a link here too if you wanted. If you do, let me know. that said that they've already picked Clinton to be president. And the reason is, and it was based on comic books at the time. So I'm so glad I went into comic books, and what a coincidence that I can learn things that would be relevant now on this video to this day with politics based on comic books. All happens for a reason when you learn things and pay attention. And I saw that a lot of superheroes were going from male to female. Then you see the all-female Ghostbusters. Then you see the lead role of Star Wars is a female. Now, not only are they female, but apparently they can do everything that a normal woman would not be able to do. I'm all for empowerment, but also realism. But the point is, the purpose of that is to train people to get used to women in power. They did it early. It's what programming is all about. And we're starting to see more and more the exposure of the fraud of the media and how they program you with things. And you don't think about it because you view it as entertainment. And I've warned people for years that they do this stuff only to be ridiculed, ignored, and insulted. And that's fine. He who laughs last laughs best. So they've already predetermined that Hillary Clinton is going to be the next president. We already saw that in the Democratic National Convention. They've already proven through those exposed emails that the system is rigged. Okay, they're already saying it, and this, as you can see in the picture, this is New York Times. So they're posting these things. Trump is saying it all the time. Even media is admitting it at this point. They're saying it all the time. They don't do this stuff, for no reason. There's a plan to this. So here it is, and this is what I feel is going to happen. Okay. I want to get my bearings straight because I have so much in my mind with this, and that's why I didn't wait until later on to do this. I had to get this information out while it's still fresh in my mind. Okay. Now we see, as Donald Trump has said many occasions, that he's making a movement. He is speaking in a way that no politician has ever spoken before. He is getting millions of people to, at the very least, listen to him. Now, on the Democratic side, they're talking about everything's fine, everything's wonderful, nothing to see here, but yet they want to talk about change. Well, if everything's fine, what is there to change? These words have meanings behind it. She's the calm one. She's the cool, collective one. She's the experienced one. They want that message to be heard. With Donald Trump, he's the reckless one, but he makes a lot of sense. But what does he do? He talks about the fear, building the wall, which sounds great. Everybody chants, build that wall. Well, last time I checked, we have oceans, people have airplanes, and there's another country called Canada, which is north of us, which now, if you block the southern people, first of all, they could take planes. If you ever research anything about how a lot of drugs get into the country, a lot of them go through airplanes that go through Florida. No wall is going to stop an airplane. And even if the wall stops some of the small-time people, that just means less competition for the big-time players. You eliminate your competition, you make more money. So it's going to eliminate the mom-and-pop drug dealers that can't get over the wall, but it's not going to stop the big government-backed drug cartels from finding ways to get over that wall by using airplane drop-offs and things like that, or just coming in through the country through Canada, or last time I checked, we have 2 coastlines. People have boats. So it's the illusion of security, but the people will chant, build that wall, because they're using your emotions against you. Okay, so with that out of the way, he also talks about radical Islamic terrorism. And I guarantee you a lot of people repeated that as soon as I said radical, you knew exactly what I was going to say. So they are programming that in your mind. So they are making you fearful. And a lot of people are climbing on board. So he's making his movement. And if you think that's not done on purpose, I'm going to expose the lie right now. Okay, so they've already predetermined that Hillary Clinton is going to be president. I said that over a year ago. Go watch the video. Which means they are using Trump. And I guarantee you he knows this. Of course, he's never going to say anything or admit anything. That he's the bad cop. He's getting everybody to realize that the system is rigged, that he will change the system. He's telling you all the things you need to hear, focusing on vets because the vets want help. He's focusing on security. You know you're scared and you need to be. That's why they do all these events, because it gets you scared. Please come and save me. And then what's going to happen is, here's the situation. It all comes down to money. It always comes down to money. When the election happens, and I've told people since 2012, that your votes don't count. If you know how the system works, your votes don't count. They've already proven it by exposing Hillary, which, by the way, they're saying, now I don't know if it's true or not, nor do I care, that the Russians were the ones that put out the information, and their reason is they also have a gold-backed currency, so they're going to be very wealthy as well. So this benefits them as well. Russia and China are going to be the world powers. The Chinese yuan is going to be the future currency, and it's coming soon. Now, they cannot just do that without people noticing. So they have to have an event that will make most people, especially in this country, focus somewhere else. So where are they focusing? On what Donald Trump is saying and what Hillary Clinton is doing. So we're fighting back and forth, divide and conquer. So what's going to happen is all of these people, you see it all the time. They're talking about, oh, look, Trump is gaining in the leads. He's taking the leads. He's going to win. There's no way. He's going to win in a landslide. It's guaranteed. It's this, it's that. And then when Hillary Clinton becomes president, what do you think the people are going to do? The average people. I'm not talking about people like you and I who are smarter than this. I'm talking about the average sheep that don't care. And they want their free stuff, and they get suckered in through their emotions. They're guided down a maze with their own quote-unquote free will. What do you think's going to happen when they've been told for months that the system is rigged? And how many millions of people want Trump in? And how much they hate Hillary Clinton? Because this political party, either Republican or Democrat, is not, oh, I want to vote for Trump because I love him, or I want to vote for Hillary because I love her. It's, I'm going to vote for Trump because I can't stand what Hillary's done. Or I'm going to vote for Hillary because I can't stand what Trump is doing. They're setting you up. So when Hillary is elected president, the people are going to riot in the streets. They are going to finally get so pissed off and realize, because they've been programmed, that the system has been rigged, that they're going to say there is no way that Hillary won. And the people are going to riot in the streets. And what's going to happen? They're going to bring out martial law, even though it's been here since the days of Abraham Lincoln. We've been under martial law since the days of the Civil War. It was never taken away. But they are going to say they're starting civil war. I'm sorry, a martial law. And what that's going to do is it's going to get the cops to be fighting the people. So we're going to be fighting each other. There's going to be plenty of people, because you already see, if you watch videos at the Republican conventions, you will see all of these thugs that are supposed to be Donald Trump protesters who are going around assaulting people, stealing from them, causing riots, scaring the living daylights out of people. These are supposed to be the ones that talk about unity and racial harmony. They're setting you up, America, to get you to fight amongst each other, destroy each other. And while we are distracted, because the news is going to show every riot, they're going to have all the cops, they're going to create more laws, there's going to be deaths, there's going to be destruction. And yes, this sounds scary and it sounds evil, but if you don't participate in it, you won't have it happen to you. The masses are idiots. The masses do what they're told. They're being suckered in through their emotion. And how many times have I told people, stay away from the emotion? Notice how I'm talking about this like I'm an observer, because I will not be rioting in the streets. I will be preparing for what's going to be happening behind the man behind the curtain, because the distraction is get North America and the world to pay attention to what's going to be the next civil war in this country, or at least the riots, and the media is going to cover it. And while they're doing that, behind the scenes, the Chinese yuan is going to overtake the US dollar. They are going to be, because look at it this way. Let's say you're France and England and all these other countries, and your countries keep losing the value of their currency because you have to keep devaluing your currency to make the illusion of the dollar strong, because the dollar is the world currency. Now, if you are one of the leaders of those countries and you find out China, who has been buying gold like there's no tomorrow, and they've been doing it for years, I've been warning people about this, and you find they're about to put out a gold-backed currency, which one are you going to take? They're all going to either go on a gold standard themselves, or they're going to follow the Chinese yuan, which will become the world currency. Now, what does that mean to ours? It doesn't mean ours is going to disappear. What it's going to mean is all of the trillions upon trillions of dollars that are exported all around the world is all going to flood back into this country, because no one will accept it anymore, because the yuan and the Russian ruble are gold-backed. And all of those dollars are going to flood into this market all at once like a tidal wave, like a tsunami. And what do you think those things do? You're going to wake up with your currency devalued to the point where you can't buy a loaf of bread without having a $100 bill in your pocket. Domestic, and now in the long run, that's going to help the U.S. economy. But people don't think in the future. They think about this moment. So in the long run, we'll have businesses here again because the price of everything imported into this country is going to skyrocket because we don't have the dollar as the world currency anymore if this scenario happens. So all imports, so kiss Walmart's goodbye because all of those Chinese-based junk that you get from Walmart, all that cheap stuff I've been warning people about for years, is no longer going to be cheap. So the dollar isn't going to disappear. It's going to be revalued, and it's only going to work in this country. It's going to devalue overnight. So, ladies and gentlemen, the people that have been mocking me for years about gold and silver, what do you think is going to happen to the price of gold when the world learns that the new system is gold-backed Chinese and Russian currency? What do you think is going to happen to the value of gold and silver? It is going to skyrocket to the point where people will murder each other for a gram of it. And this is what the trolls and haters could not understand. And I've been spent and dedicated the last 5-6 years of my life learning all of this stuff. And even ending up in that comic book channel for a year and a half to learn some of the things I learned. Because without that information, I probably wouldn't have learned a certain piece. So it shows everything happens for a reason. This country will become a third world country because the people don't get it and they don't want to hear this, and they are going to riot in the streets because everybody wants, if you see the rallies, there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people rooting for Donald Trump, who is telling you every day that the system's rigged, and he's reminding people, I've watched every single speech he's done since the Republican National Convention. He's done 2 to 3 a day. I've watched every one of them, whether they were an hour long or 3 hours long. I've dedicated my life to this stuff. And people ask me, you should stop, you should calm down, why are you so unhappy? I'm unhappy because I'm on the Titanic with all these other people. I know in advance that the ship is going to sink, and I'm on that boat too. So the idiots that don't believe me or don't listen and want to sit there playing their violins, when the ship sinks, they're going to trample over me as I'm trying to get to one of the life rafts. So yeah, it's stressful, but I've been well prepared for years, and you damn well better be. And again, this is not fear, because like I said, if you know in advance the Titanic is going to sink, and you stand or you take one of the lifeboats and start floating away, people will look at you, look at that idiot, what the hell are they doing? This is a beautiful ship, it's unsinkable, it's gorgeous, it's going on a vacation, you're going to ruin your vacation, you're going to get lost, you're going to freeze. And then their boat starts sinking, and they're like, oh crap, now what do we do? There's nothing you can do. So the people on those the life rafts that left an hour or 2 hours early, yeah, they might be freezing in that little boat. They may not know where they are. They may be scared because they're trapped in the dark in the middle of nowhere, but they're alive. So you can do what you want. I'm telling you right now, there's a method to what they're doing because they're exposing all the stuff about Hillary Clinton, so it'll make more and more people angry. And more people are going to go vote. And then they're going to be programmed that the system is rigged, even though the system has been rigged since the 1800s. Your votes don't count, but most people don't want to hear that. They don't care about it. So when, despite how many people are waving the Trump flag and cheering and spreading out his videos and talking how wonderful about Trump is, it's drowning in good intention. Because once Hillary is elected, and she will be elected, there will be riots in the street. People will be pissed off beyond no belief, and this will be the last straw, because when you take away their jobs, when you take away their economy, you take away their freedom, there's nothing left. They revolt. And I've been warning people for years, don't let this happen. And now, because people don't care and don't listen or don't believe, now it's going to be something that most people can't do anything about. But here's the beautiful thing. It hasn't happened yet, which means you cannot stop a train from going down the track, but you can get out of its way. So if there are people that want to lay down on the track thinking, oh, the train, I don't see any train, there's no train, or the train will stop, because my government or people told me it'll stop, or it's not supposed to be here, so I'm going to lay here defiantly. Show you. Well, all I have to do is move out of the way and watch all of those people get squashed. And they will never have the chance to say, oh, you were right, because they'll be dead and gone. So people say you shouldn't live in fear. This is not me saying, oh my God, run for your lives. I'm not scared at all, because I've been prepared for this, and I've dedicated my life to make sure I will not be one of the millions of idiotic people who are suckered in time and time again. My voice will be silenced. My voice will not be heard. YouTube will not spread this truthful information. They will rig the system. They have been rigging the system. It's not a coincidence that all of a sudden, even though this has been happening for decades and centuries, all of a sudden proof is coming out now. And then you have Donald Trump playing Mr. Good Cop, saying how he's going to secure us all, keep us safe, and the system is rigged, and he tells you that repeatedly. So when the votes come in and Hillary is still president, the people will riot. There will be mass problems. Media will cover it. There'll be new martial laws. There'll be people distracting you. And while all this smoke is being all over the place, they will be all converting their money at the top to the new gold snap-backed currencies. And when you wake up, you're going to find that your currency devalued by 60, 70, 80, 90% overnight. And all the people who laughed about it, all the people that said I was crazy, all the people that just don't get it, they're going to be really pissed off. But they're going to be pissed off at themselves. So what you do with this information is up to you. I'm not going to tell you to share it. I'm not going to even tell you to thumb it up. If everybody wants to thumb it down, congratulations, you're hurting yourself. So I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm giving you the information of years of nonstop research. And people say all the time, oh, you're just watching videos. Okay, so if I'm watching a teacher teaching and I record that lesson and I place it on a YouTube video, does that mean it lost its value? I'm not watching dogs and cats dancing around. I'm not watching PewDiePie going and making the same routine about a video game. I'm learning about what's going on behind the scenes that the media is not talking to you about. So go look up at the fact that now China, since April of this year, has its currency gold backed. Why is no media talking about it? Because they don't want you to know about it, because then it'll ruin their plans. They're setting you all up. Nobody cares. Hardly anybody's going to hear this. And I am going to watch it all like a fireworks show. 90% of the people in America are going to be in the middle of those fireworks wondering, where did this come from? I've been telling people for years. And this is what it all boils down to. It all boils down to this election. You'll see. And if you don't believe me, that's fine. If you think I'm crazy, that's fine. You will find out the hard way, and then it will be scary for you. It's not based on fear when you know what's coming. If you're standing on a train track, it's very scary that you're going to be hit. But if you're too stupid to move out of the way, whose fault is it? Yours or the train's? It's yours. So there are two questions or statements I want to read, and as always, I thank people for listening. Eddie B83 says, USA, the United States of Asia. Yep. And I've said many a time, there's many future movies. Look at the movie Looper. Look at so many movies where they talk about the future. What is the currency they're all using? Chinese money. They're telling you in advance, because the people that really control this planet, they have a thing called the Hippocratic Oath. They have to tell people what's going on before they do it. Because free will, you cannot force anybody to do anything. That's why the 13th Amendment is based on the fact of defining the word slavery, which is involuntary servitude. In other words, they cannot put a gun to your head and make you do something. But if you don't argue it or contest it, you are approving it through your silence. So they are rigging the system. But it's your own fault, because you're standing on the train tracks, you don't see a train, you haven't seen a train for years, everybody's telling you there is no train, and you stand there defiantly, and once you start seeing a train, you say, oh, that's a lie, oh, that's Project Bluebeam, or that's some Agenda 21, or that's not really a train, it's fake, or it's not going to hit me, it's going to stop, and by the time you realize it's not stopping and it is a real train, you've already been run over. So if you don't want to get any gold and silver, that is your funeral. If you think this is fear porn, you don't get it. It's becoming more and more fear porn the closer we get to it because nobody cares. No, I don't mean nobody. I'm talking about the people that are watching all the more important things that they feel are more important. And that's why the news is going to be focusing on everything that Donald Trump says. They're not going to talk about the rigged stuff that Hillary has done, but Donald Trump will talk about it all the time. And since we got the majority of people listening to Donald Trump, they're going to get angrier and angrier at the system. So they know it's corrupted now because they're told. They have proof of it, so they finally understand that, even though I've been telling people for years, and many people years before me, that when it becomes true, they are going to riot in the streets because people are just that stupid, gullible, and easily led. They are sheep for a reason. And it frustrates me because if people would have listened years ago, we wouldn't be at this scenario. It doesn't have to be, and it can still change. The election hasn't happened yet. If you spread this information and expose the lie, how do they get away with it if people know about it? They're setting you up. They're setting you up. They are setting you up. Radical Islamic terrorism. They want you to know that thing. Build that wall like you think these days walls work. If walls work, then castles would still be building walls around them. You got to be an idiot to think walls are going to keep people in this day and age when we have things called planes. People cannot be that stupid. But I guess they can, because what do when you watch every Trump rally? Build that wall. Yeah, keep saying the same thing, you bunch of idiots. They are setting you up. So let's read the other questions. And I'm so glad I have some of my subscribers. And that's why out of 25,000, 70 people listening right now, the other 24,000 some odd people are just going to fall asleep. Some of them can't watch it right now because they're working or anything. So I'll give slack. So I'll say out of the 25,000 plus, let's say 20,000 of them don't get it, don't care. They're only hurting themselves because this is what's happening. And I'll show that link again for people that might be just tuning in now. Let me do the screen share again. And again, I will post the link, but you could just Google this. On April 19, 2016, China was rolling out its new gold-backed yuan, and Russia's doing the same. If you don't think other countries are going to follow suit, you are crazy. You are crazy. You are crazy. See, the US dollar is going to lose value. Now, can I say exactly what day that's going to happen? Absolutely not. But it could happen this year because they're setting up the chess pieces. They are the kings and queens. You are the pawns. They are putting your pieces and sacrificing you so they can become wealthy and stay in power. And they do it through your emotion because you won't think logically. You'll chant, build that wall, but not stop and say, wait a minute. Since when do walls hold people in anymore? But you don't want to do that because then you're against the crowd. And you don't want to do that. Because the insecurity of the people, they need to be led. They need to be in a group. I stand alone. Does this mean I'm 100% right? No. Does it sound crazy when I put it all into perspective? Well, if you're smart enough, you'll think about it. And the 4 idiots that thumbed down the video before I went on, I am going to be so laughingly happy to find out that they were standing in front of that train and I watched them get splatted. Who cares about getting rid of idiots? They're not helping. You guys care. You guys will be prepared. Screw the 99% of the people who don't want to listen. We worry so much about them. They're the ones that are going to be suckered into doing this. They're the ones that claim they're the smart ones. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Oh, okay. I guess there's just a monster, because that makes much more sense. A flaming head. Yeah, makes more sense than a man behind a curtain with a machine that makes that happen. No. The average person would be called an idiot. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. There's no man behind a curtain. I clearly see that head that's a flame. It's speaking to me. It's real. I see it. I once was blind, but now I see. People just do not understand it, and they are going to find out the hard way. So let's read a couple of more statements or questions and things like that. We have Lucas C. Paz Mundal. Okay. He says, keep it up, bro. I told you in the Truth Talk, virtual dollar backed up by official gold. Absolutely. I've been saying that for years. He also says, and you will exchange $10 or $5 for one virtual dollar. Yes. So you're going to be a millionaire with $1 million fiat notes, and now you are going to lose about minimum of 25, if not more, % of your value overnight. There goes your purchasing power. And the people that have gold and silver, they're going to increase because gold is exchangeable all throughout the world. It's not based on one currency. You people just don't get it. And that's why I've said about the gold and silver, it's a long-term thing for this kind of scenario. Those trolls are idiots. They're there to get paid to distract us. And yes, I'd get frustrated every now and then, but they never got me to change my ideals. I don't care if 5,000 people say I'm an idiot. They're the idiots for all ganging up, and they need the power of their combinations to get one of me, and they still couldn't do it. They don't get it. They're there. They're the traitors. They're the ones that hide behind their computers anonymously, or they're just too stupid because they need to follow a trend. I mean, not for nothing. If I was lying to people and I was the shills that they claim me to be, that's saying that my subscribers are idiots and they follow an idiot. If that's the case. I mean, you know, it's just, I find it funny at this point. I love exposing them. Stand up to bullies. Lose your fear. Fear is going to be control. Fear is going to sucker you in through your emotions. Use this brain. You've been given a brain for a reason. It's to think. It's to conclude. It's to research. It's to question. It is not to follow blindly. You might as well cut out half your brain if you're just going to follow. So yeah, chant, build that wall, because you'll get what you want. Because remember, politicians base their platforms on what is popular at the time. That's why people like Hillary Clinton has changed throughout the years that she's been in office. She's flip-flopped. She doesn't believe in either way, and even if she believes in one way, she's not going to tell you, and she'll change it because that's what she needs to get the votes. And that's what all politicians do. So they're giving us what we want. So you want that wall? They'll damn well build it. Good luck trying to get over it when you want to escape America, when you realize there's no money. And again, over time, it's going to benefit us, but people don't worry about over time. Just like I was telling people back in 2012, 2011, to get gold and silver, before the future, people don't want to hear about it. Oh, the future, I'll worry about it then. Well, then future comes and it's now the present. What do you do? If you're on that train track for years and the train hasn't been coming, and they're paying you $1 million a day to be there, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you see the train about to hit you and you can't move, what good is that money you got paid? So all those trolls and shills that go on all these websites to try and distract people, what good is that money when it's going to lose its value overnight? And banks will shut down or limit how much money you could take out. You think you're free? If you have all your money in the bank, go try and take it out today. Good luck with that, Mr. and Mrs. Freedom. Go to your bank. If you have, let's say you're a millionaire. You have $1 million in the bank account. You're free? Go to the bank and say, yes, I'd like to withdraw my $1 million. It's your money, right? Good luck with that. So, some more questions. To me, it's just justification of everything that I've learned. Because it's coming. The system is rigged. They are going to expose you for that. They're gearing you this whole summer to get people riled up. And they give plenty of people time to realize the system is rigged. So when Hillary Clinton becomes president, because that's who they had in mind all along. Like I said, I made a video over a year ago. Look it up under my playlists. You will see it. And Hillary Clinton was picked all this time. Go to my channel, go to my playlists, and find it right there. It's the only one in there under that playlist. And I exposed why they're doing it. So when she gets picked as president, everybody's going to be in an uproar. Say, wait a minute, we all voted for Trump. Everybody's cheering for Trump. It's rigged. That's it. Get your guns. It's time for a revolution. And I've told people all the time, you fight fire with fire, you create more fire. You cannot fight fire with fire. You need to smother it out. The idea is it's a rigged system and it's a game. And if you keep playing it, you're going to lose. If you don't play the game, you won't lose. That's up to you. Jake Barkan says, I'd love some tips on purchasing some gold and silver. One of the main websites, there's plenty of them, and you could post them in the websites if you want, in the comment section if people want to post others. The one that I saw that was the cheapest price and had the fastest delivery, the best experience, because I've dealt with several of them over the years, and I'm not just promoting them. I don't get paid for it. I'm referring it because that's the one I recommend, is goldmart.com. GOLDM as in Michael, ART as in Thomas.com. There's plenty of others. There's APMEX, there's Silver Bullion, there's so many different others. So if you want to leave them in the comment section, please do. What I always recommend is if you're not sure about stuff, start with junk silver. Or if you're going to get gold or silver bars, go with either JM Mathy or Engelhart. Make sure you go to a reputable place. Don't be buying them all over the eBay, because a lot of people, you're going to get all that Chinese garbage if you don't know what you're doing. So have silverware. If you have gold jewelry, remember, it has to be 24 karat gold, because anything less than 24 karat gold is not pure gold. It's gold plated. So if you have 14 and 18 karat gold, congratulations. You have a little bit of gold with other metals underneath it. 24 karat gold is pure gold. And that's why one of the only American gold coins that are pure gold are the American buffaloes. Because even the American eagles, they're only 22 karat, which means there's other metals underneath them. That's why the reason they don't usually make things 24 karat gold is soft. You could literally take a 24 karat gold coin and bend it. Doesn't really make it very flexible. So they combine other metals into it so it stays rigid. So that's the best way to start. But learn. It's not too late. The election hasn't happened yet. But, we're seeing the writing on the wall. We're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And if we can expose this, we can maybe stop it. Or watch the riots. Watch your money devalued. Watch the Chinese yuan become the world currency, because every country is going to either duplicate what they're doing, because everybody's a follower, even governments, or they're going to join their plan that they've been setting up all this time. So while our government and our media has been talking about the Dow Jones, talking about the strong U.S. economy, talking about the strong U.S. dollar, they know well in advance that China and Russia have been buying billions of ounces, well, not billions, but millions of ounces of gold, which has come primarily through us, so our government knew it, so they can eventually have gold and silver-backed currencies. You don't think our government knew about that? Our governments throughout the world are traitors to the people. There's a reason why there's no poor politicians anywhere in the world. They're all wealthy because they all work together. But they'll make you think when the camera's on, oh, I hate that country, and I hate that person, and I hate that political party. They're all getting wealthy off of that whole little play they're putting before you. And it still works to this day, even to the point where all this stuff will make logical sense, and most people will never even hear this video. And how many people will listen to this and just shut it off or just dismiss it? That's perfectly fine with me. That won't affect my family. So, Jake, look up goldmart.com. That's a good place to start. Look in the comment section, because I'm sure other people will post different websites that you can go to that they recommend. It depends on where in the world you are. But learn as much as you can about gold and silver before it's too late. That's up to you. This is not fear. It's letting you know ahead of time that the Titanic is sinking and you're on the Titanic. So if you want to be one of those people like in the movie that was playing their violins and, playing their whatever instrument while the ship is sinking, you're just going to die. That's just stupid. All right, so Russell Hall says, I believe Russia is trying to bring back the hammer and sickle. Don't believe everything you hear in the media. Russia has, if you actually look at Russian videos with Putin talking, he makes very valid points. He talks about the fact that how many different bases does Russia have all around the world? Just imagine if Russia had a base in Mexico and in Canada and not only what they tried to do in Cuba. Because remember when Russia tried to put one in Cuba, how much of an uproar? We almost started World War III back in the 60s. Well, how many different places do we have around the world? You don't think they legitimately have concerns? But if you say that, that now somebody's going to say, what are you, a communist? No, I'm a peaceful person that doesn't want war, and you have to see things for what they are. All this media does is blame Russia for things. What has Russia done? We have hundreds of military bases in hundreds of different countries throughout the world, with nuclear capabilities, by the way. Just imagine if China and Russia started building all around our country. You don't think we'd be pissed off? I mean, come on, wake up, people. So, Russell, I'm not trying to insult you or anything. I'm just saying this is what the media tries to program you to believe. They're not trying to bring back a hammer and sickle. One good thing I actually believe that Trump has to say is, wouldn't it be nice if we actually got along with Russia? How about the rest of the world? Wouldn't it be nice if we can actually get along? And then people laugh at that and mock at that. So what should we do? Not get along so we can have World War III? Yeah, that's not crazy. But people want to use the emotions and say, oh, look what Chris is saying. He says we should be getting along with Russia. That means he's a communist. No, it means you're an idiot. Because if you're going to determine that because I want peace on the planet and not World War III as being a communist, then you're an idiot. Plain and simple. And Russell, I'm not saying you, obviously. All right, so learn more about Russia too. You just got to stop listening to the media. They're going to tell you all these lies. It's an entertainment. Look up what news is listed as. It's listed as entertainment. It's not good entertainment, but you'll believe it to be true. That's like watching, the Independence Day movie and thinking aliens are coming to attack you, which people will still believe to this day is going to happen. Look up Project Bluebeam. Anyway, Rising Jake says, Chris, I love your passion. Glad you're here. Thank you. I appreciate that. I am wondering, based on your experience with silver, what might be the purchasing power for goods when we are using precious metals? Example, 1 silver coin for a full tank of gas or a loaf of bread. All right, very good question. Now, here's the thing. You are not, when this happens, or if this happens, because I can't guarantee it, because we might be able to stop it, some other event might happen, who knows? But let's just say what I said comes true, and all of a sudden the yuan becomes the new world currency. Our currency is only now usable domestically, and it loses its value. It doesn't mean that the dollar is going to go away, and now you're exchanging a gold bar for a gallon of gas. No. What's going to happen is they're going to reevaluate the currency, which is going to devalue what we have, but it's going to increase that new currency towards gold and silver. So all you have to do is sell your gold and silver for the new currency, and you'll have a lot more of it. So then you could buy your gas and you can buy your loaf of bread. So you're not going to be going around handing gold and silver bars to people. You're not going to go to Century 21 and buy a house and say, oh, hi, I have a 10-ounce bar of gold. No, you're going to exchange your gold for the new currency, and then it's going to be so much more valued because it's going to be worth more than what the dollar is. If you exchange the dollar for the new currency, you're going to get probably 10 cents on the dollar. If you exchange gold or silver for the new currency, you'll probably have $10 worth for every $1 of their new currency. So that's what it's all about. But again, this is just now setting up the next vicious control cycle. Because then eventually they'll get everybody exchanged for the new currency, which will be gold backed. Because like I said, throughout history, they always start and restart again with gold. So that's exactly what's about to happen. So they're starting the whole process all over again. So it'll be productive for the beginning. There'll be plenty of people building their wealth. They're going to end up bringing it up again. Then they're going to take it away in a couple of decades. And people have forgotten at that time. And they're going to start the whole process again. They're going to create this whole thing. And then it's going to happen all over again. So because we keep playing the same game, it keeps spinning around like a record. I don't care how many times you play that record, the songs are not going to change. If you don't research history, you're doomed to repeat it. And that's why I've been saying since 2012, every currency throughout the history has started with gold and silver-based systems since the days of the Roman Empire. Eventually, they start running out of resources, so they have to start thinning it out to the point where they have the gold and silver disappear and they replace it with other metals or things like paper or things like digital currencies. It eventually collapses on itself because it was based on truth and now is exposed for the lie that it is. It collapses and they start all over again. Second verse, same as the first. So you're not going to be buying the loaf of bread and gas with the gold and silver. That's what conspiracy theorists, that's what even me that didn't understand back in 2012, thinking, now all of a sudden you're going to exchange it for that. No, you're going to exchange your gold and silver for more of the new currency. Because if you have it in dollars, you're going to lose that money. But if you have gold and silver, you're going to get back so much more. So you are going to be wealthier in the new system, which eventually will be corrupted. It takes decades, because if you do it overnight, people pay attention. This has been going on since World War II. So, great question. All right, Lucas, CISPAS Mondial, and if I say that wrong, please forgive me. He says, keep in mind that if the U.S. fall, China falls too, no currency will replace the dollar with currency will. That's incorrect, because the Chinese yuan is now backed by gold. That gives it security. The other countries will follow. They will either get gold-backed securities themselves, or they will use the yuan. So this is a separation, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a domino, because they are no longer putting their domino in line with the others. They're setting up their new set of dominoes that will eventually fall, but they are not in line with the ones currently falling. They're the next ones getting ready to fall. So trust me on that. The world is not going to fall behind if they follow the yuan gold-backed dollar. But a very good question. Jake Barkan says, happy and grateful you're doing your thing. Thank you. I wonder how many of you will be doing your thing by sharing this. I hope you do. I hope people watch this, because if they watch it the day after the riots start and the day after they learn that the currency has been devalued and there's a new American dollar that is no longer the world currency, they're going to be pretty pissed that they can't do anything about it. And they'll be like, oh, I should have watched this. Yeah, because thanks to YouTube and other troll accounts and the government, they're going to keep this information hidden. So the people watching it are going to have an advancement. But then again, if you've been watching me for years, you should already know about this stuff. All right, so Rising Jake says, thanks for your answer, Chris. You're welcome. I love your talk about interesting and truly knowing reality instead of all the bullshit. Belief systems. Remember, belief, it doesn't matter whether you believe in it or don't believe in it. Either one you don't know. So they love people in a belief system because they'll say, oh, I believe that to be true, or I believe that to be bullshit. Well, either way, you don't know. So you're not going to do anything. If you're on the Titanic and I tell you, if I go up to you and say, hey, I just was told that this ship is going to sink, you could say, really? I believe that, and do nothing. Or you could say, oh, no, they said this ship is unsinkable. You're crazy. How would you know in advance? Get away from me. You're ruining my vacation. You're an idiot. It doesn't matter what people believe. It's what they know. I don't base this stuff on belief. I base it on fact of research through experience. By their deeds, you shall know them. So this is interesting, but I'm looking at it as a totally spectator point of view. I'm an observer. When the riots happen, when Hillary Clinton becomes president and all the people get pissed off because they've been programmed to know it's a rigged system, not by accident, they are going to react because people are reactors. They do not think. And that's how they sucker people to go in a direction that they think they're doing with their own free will. That's how stupid the majority of people are. Jake Barkan says, thank you, brother. You are very welcome. Jake also says, ignorance is no excuse. You're absolutely right. Why do you think I changed it from the sleeping masses to the willfully ignorant? There are going to be plenty of people that even hear this video and shut it off because they don't like me. Or they shut it off because they don't believe it. Or they shut it off because, oh, it's too negative. It's just pointing out what can happen. If you're on a boat that's going to sink, yeah, is that negative? It sure is. Do you want to be on that boat sitting there saying, I don't believe it, or I'm going to ignore it because it's too negative? You'd be an idiot if you do. I would rather see it as, oh, the boat's about to sink. Thanks for giving me advance warning. Let me get off this boat. And even as I'm rowing away, everybody's looking and laughing at me on their ship, sipping their martinis and eating their caviar. I'll be looking in the distance through my binoculars, watching them all scream for help as they sink under the ocean. Who do you think laughs last? The reason why those people will never give me the satisfaction of knowing I'm right is they will no longer be around to do it. Sucks for them, but it is willful ignorance. All right, I'm just going to call you Lucas because it's a lot easier that way. He says, China needs the U.S. because the U.S. is the most important market for Chinese production. No, it's not. It is now, but it won't be. They've been using all of this stuff to gain all of the gold so they can become the new world currency. It's using somebody. It's like somebody dating somebody for their money. They're not attracted to them at all, but just use them for their money. You ever notice that when the money's gone, they're gone too? So Lucas, I'm telling you right now, you've been led to believe, and again, drowning a good intention, that we need China and China needs us. No, they don't. They have the whole rest of the world. They're taking advantage of our ignorance and our stupidity. They'll still get trades. It's just going to cost a hell of a lot more. So they're still going to use us. So, you know, if you want to believe China needs us, that's fine. But I'm telling you right now, and I love you, but you're wrong. The next world currency is going to be virtual. It'll be a virtual thing, but it will still be backed by gold. Look at the new thing that Peter Schiff is talking about. He's just now getting into, coincidentally enough, a gold-based currency system where you can use it like PayPal. You deposit gold in their banking system, and they give you cash dollar amounts to be able to use like a credit card. What a coincidence. They just happen to do that now. I follow countries. I follow billionaires. I don't follow people on YouTube that sit there and say I'm crazy when they have no other videos other than chop-up videos. You want to believe those people? Go join their bandwagon and watch where it leads you. But he also says if the yuan is base, if the yuan is base money, China would be able to export. Thanks for all, bro. Trust me when I say when it's a gold-backed system, everybody is going to climb on board. They're no longer going to go to the dollar. The dollar is a dinosaur. It is about to die. If you want to not believe that, if you want to collect millions of dollars, good luck with that toilet paper you're going to use. Be careful of the edges. They're pretty sharp. All right, Neo at Matrix says, Lucas, he says, this is to Lucas, he says, China doesn't need the U.S. at all. Well, they need them to get all the gold that we're giving them. That's why the Fort Knox, even though there's a law since World War II, or I don't have the exact date, but since around the 40s and 50s, they had a law that the Fort Knox was supposed to be edited, or the Federal Reserve actually was supposed to be edited every year. They haven't been edited since the 50s, audited since the 50s. Why? Because the gold isn't there. Where is it? It's in China. What a surprise. So they do need us in the sense of, well, if you're going to marry somebody for money, you're going to use them until they have no more money. Then you walk away and then you go back to someone else. So they do need us, but not in the way we think. They're using us, and we don't care. We'd rather watch what's happening in baseball. We'd rather watch what's happening with our superstars and our movie stars and our musicians. We want to listen to all the drama. We want to watch videos about video games and reaction videos and all the stuff that'll keep us pleasantly occupied. You want to listen to the news that tells you all the fear stuff from Alex Jones. You want to watch the news media outlets that tell you that the Dow Jones is the best investment, even though you're supposed to buy low and sell high. And when people like me come along and try and save you for free, we're crazy conspiracy theorists. I will be laughing last, and so will many people that have been listening to me for the years, because this is long-term, and this is something no troll could ever duplicate, because they don't have the mental capacity. Okay, so Russell Hall says, my friend said both Russia and China are going to be financial and military powers of worlds 5 years ago. Well, everything doesn't happen on a time schedule of guarantee. There will always be bumps in a road. So, like I've said, if you have, let's say, an air balloon, a gigantic air balloon, you are going to fill it with air. Now, because it's gigantic, it's going to expand. But you know that if you blow air in that balloon continuously and you never stop, you know eventually that balloon is going to burst. But because it's flexible, it's going to have a lot more give. But eventually it pops. So because the U.S. petrodollar, which 90% of this country, if you said petrodollar, they'd have no clue what you're talking about. It shows how willfully ignorant they choose to be. We're expanding our balloon by taking our currency and exporting it all around the world. Because when countries wanted to buy oil, they had to convert their currency into the U.S. dollar. So that spread the balloon far and wide. But since the Earth is not an unlimited place, whether it be flat or round, which, by the way, I always wondered why they say we're gonna find you even if we go to the four corners of the earth. Please, somebody show me where four corners are in a round sphere. But that's for a video for another time. My point is, they will expand it to a certain point where it cannot expand any longer. The problem is they'll distract you as long as they can, because maybe they just weren't ready yet. You ever have a time where you're supposed to be out the door to go to lunch or you go to work, and you realize, oh, I forgot to shower, or I forgot my cell phone, or forgot my keys, or I can't find my keys, or you end up going through a couple extra traffic lights? Sometimes things get postponed. Even the best planners in the world cannot have everything aligned to the stars to the way they work perfectly. It's going to happen. They're setting it up. It's cool. Maybe they wanted more gold. Maybe they didn't realize how stupid us Americans, especially, and even Europeans, because they've allowed this to happen too in their countries. I mean, maybe they just couldn't believe, wow, that we could still get all this gold and people still don't care. Let's keep doing it. Why wouldn't you? Everybody takes advantage. I don't care if you're Mother Teresa. At some point, you took advantage of something. That's what China did, and that's what they're continuing to do. So, yes, it might have been able to happen 5 years ago. It might have happened in the beginning of this year. Maybe they weren't ready, or maybe they are now, or maybe it'll happen again in another 4 years, the next election. Who knows? I cannot answer that. But I would rather be prepared and be wrong than to not be prepared and be wrong. Because if I'm prepared and I'm wrong, well, my gold and silver is not going to be worth zero. It has some value. So even if I lost a little bit of money, I still have money. But if I said, screw gold and silver, I don't want it, I don't believe in any of this stuff, and then I wake up tomorrow only to find out all that stuff was true, good luck trying to get it then. So I'd rather be prepared and wrong than unprepared and wrong. So it may take another year or two. It may not happen during this election. We'll see. So again, great question, and I appreciate that. My thing is I'm going to speak as honest as I can. And sometimes that means you're not going to hear what you maybe wanted to hear or like the way it's said, but it's just me being me. Don't you wish your politicians and your media would talk so bluntly? All right, so Rising Jake says, I always love the quote, if voting did anything, it would be made illegal. We have been bought and owned for centuries. Absolutely. Your votes don't count because when you sign your birth certificate and you get your driver's license, the first thing they ask you is, are you a U.S. citizen? And what do? You check yes. When you do that, you don't realize that either the 14th or 15th Amendment, I don't have it offhand because it's irrelevant, they legally define the word citizen, which means you're a person. When you legally define the word person, it means you're a corporation with most rights of a human being. So when you sign yes, ignorance of the law is not no excuse. It's based on presumption. You don't realize you have now joined the corporation located in Washington, D.C., which is owned by the Bank of London and the Rothschilds since 1871, confirmed in 1933 when we went bankrupt. There went all the gold. What a surprise. That was the year of the Social Security and the, I'm sorry, it was either income tax or Social Security, one of the two, and all the gold was illegal for the people. I wonder where it went. Probably went to China, don't you think? Kind of makes sense. So when you are part of the jurisdiction of the United States, which is the corporation located in the 10 square mile radius of the District of Columbia owned by the Bank of Rothschilds, you are now part of that corporation no matter where you are in the country. Washington, D.C. has 2 delegates. So if every single person voted for Donald Trump in the election, that's 2 delegate votes. Well, you get 3 delegate votes from someone else, like the Senate or the House of Representatives or the president, because you could see he's totally biased. Well, 3 beats 2, but people don't want to understand this. So that's why I said the other day, it's like we'll talk about the voting fraud. Look how many few people listen to it. Because I'm saying if you're at least going to not listen to the fact that the votes don't count and you're going to go anyway, you might as well try and take care of yourself, but they don't want to do that. You know, who's the fool? The fool or the fool who follows them? So we've been bought and owned for a long time, but people don't want to hear it because you're not told it. When you're not told something, it comes as a shock when you're introduced. But if you have a brain that could think, why would you not at least question it or verify it? If at the very least to prove it wrong. Don't just dismiss something. How does that help you? Sunbeam Stings says, great live show, Chris. Thank you. I appreciate it. My show is not going to be popular. It's not going to be sexy. It's not going to have flashing lights. Because remember, I did the flashing light thing in the woman in the bikini about a month ago, and it got 8,000 views. That's what people want. The average person wants to stare at a picture 3 hours long with 10 minutes worth of content. It's just amazing, the average person. So I sacrifice some of my happiness now, so I will be very happy in the near future. That works for me because my present is now my past. As soon as I say present, it is now part of my past that's gone. The future hasn't come yet. I would rather have a future that I'm prepared and well taken care of through my own responsibility than to hope the people that are continuously being caught cheating and lying to be the ones that save my day. Screw that. All right, Rising Jake, and you got 3 pluses on this one. That's always a good thing. He says, Rising Jake says, if we want real change, we have to look within. Absolutely. We have to look to ourselves. We can't keep putting our faith and tasking our quote-unquote leaders with the task of changing this world. The first step is awareness, and it's happening faster and faster. There you go. It's all from within. You know, like I said, if I say to you right now, especially if you didn't watch the video yesterday, and many people haven't, right now, in the comments section, when I say, who is Frankenstein? Right in the comments section, based on the movie Frankenstein, I want you right now in the comment section to write down who is Frankenstein. And I'll give you a second. Just describe the person a little bit. We'll see how many people actually do it. So if you're watching this not live, just pause the video for a second and just write down what you think Frankenstein is. All right, so I'm assuming that people actually left the comments, and if you didn't, that's fine. I'm sure only 2 or 3 people will do it. But if you wrote down that Frankenstein is the monster, and it's, you know, the person with the flat top hairdo and the little tiny bolts attached to his neck, you are wrong. That's not Frankenstein. That's Frankenstein's monster. The scientist was Frankenstein. He created that monster. So our politicians are Frankenstein's monster. We are Frankenstein because they are giving us exactly what we want. How many people are chanting, build that wall? Well, they're going to give you what you want. How many people now are for gay marriage? Well, they're going to give you that. If all of a sudden, like back in the 90s, when people in the 80s and 90s, when people were more about religion and they didn't want same-sex marriage, what a surprise that Hillary Clinton didn't want same-sex marriage back then. They're going by the trends. In other words, what the followers want, we will give them. We are Frankenstein, they are the monsters. We blame them for what we created. That's how stupid we are. We blame them for what we created. Don't we vote them into office? Don't we wave our flags and cheer every single thing that they say without question? Yes, Frankenstein's monster was very destructive, but if they didn't make that monster, there would have been nothing for him to destroy because he wouldn't have been there. Hello, McFly, the reason politicians are doing what they're doing is because we allow them to, we voted them in, we don't take them out. And I don't mean take them out by murdering them, take them out by saying, guess what, you're no longer president, we no longer consent. We don't do that, but we complain about it. So we're Frankenstein, we made Frankenstein's monster, and we're upset with what the monster's doing. Instead of taking responsibility that we created it. It's almost like you go up to a person that is 3 times your size. You go up to that person and punch him in the face. And then all of a sudden he turns around and beats the living daylights out of you. Almost nearly to death. And the cops come and stop it. And you're complaining, look at what this guy did. I just punched him and he beat the living crap out of me and he was going to murder me. Well, idiot, if you didn't punch him in the first place, there would have been no need for a retaliation. You caused the situation. Take responsibility for your actions. And that's all these movements, the Black Lives Matter and the feminist movements and all these things where you notice most of the people in those things are nothing more than angry who cannot have a logical debate. They just want to rant and rave and destroy things because they're entitled to things for free, aren't they? They don't want to take responsibility that, yes, the system may be different for your culture or your different sex, but that doesn't mean you have to give up. You could work hard. Let me tell you something. There are plenty of African Americans who've made it in this world. I mean, don't we have one as a president? Maybe he just didn't fall into the system and say, oh, well, because I'm a certain color or a certain creed or a certain race or a certain sex, I can't do anything. Take responsibility for what you choose to do and what you choose not to do, instead of waving your flags and holding your sign saying you're entitled. In a free world, you're entitled to do nothing but breathe. You want something, you got to get it. You got to make it happen. But we're so used to governments giving us all this free stuff, we become entitled, like it's owed to us. And they're giving you what you want. And yet people are complaining, oh, it's unfair, and oh, I didn't get my whatever today. Oh, it's unfair, the system is more geared towards men. Well, then be one of the women that actually has to work harder and does something and doesn't give up. If you live in an important environment, make something of yourself. I lived on welfare when I was a child. My mother, when they got divorced, it was just me, my sister, and my mother. She had to take care of 2 kids on her own. There wasn't any child support back then. People didn't sue each other. My father left. So I grew up on poverty. I grew up learning to appreciate every little thing that you had. But I didn't sit there and say, woe is me. That's why to this day, I am not on any government programs, even though there are times I financially struggle, because I am doing it on my own. And I would rather have the pride of knowing what little income I have coming in is mine because I earned it, not because somebody handed it to me so I could sit on my couch and do nothing. People have to take responsibility for what they choose to do. So if you want real change, and I agree, Rising Jake, get off your ass and do it. Instead of just sitting here saying all this stuff, oh, I believe it or I don't believe it, do something to make sure that either way doesn't affect you. All right, so Rising Jake says, our society is controlled through food, energy, education throughout. Absolutely. Don't forget media. Secret societies like the Committee of 300 have their hands in so many ways of life. It's amazing how many events and people are connected to one another, going back, again, centuries. Yes. Repeated. When you don't research history, you're doomed to repeat it. There's a reason why this has been happening for century upon century upon century. And if you say something different, you're ridiculed and attacked until you find out you're either right or wrong. Neo at Matrix says, way to go, Chris. Your live show is getting more and more interactive. Nice to see more people asking questions and getting them answered. Oh, I will answer pretty much any question unless it's some idiotic troll saying something stupid. That's why I do it this way, so they don't get the time of day. I don't have time for ignorant, stupid people who are the real traders of this planet. So I am very glad to answer any question, and I thank you for that comment. And I'm here, and I've been here to try and help people. I may not be right all the time, and I might not get it on the money every time, but my gear is towards long-term goal. I don't charge anybody. I don't ask for donations. I'm doing this out of free will to help people because it's the right thing to do, because I give a shit. And I wish more people would give a shit. I wish they would lose the fear. I'm not scared. They have no way of being able to take something about me that is not theirs to own. They don't own me. They may have tricked me, but they do not own me. I am a free human, and that's it. I am. I do not consent to their lies, but I also take responsibility. That's why I do not vote for a corrupt system, even though I know it doesn't work. I'm not going to pick the lesser of two evils. If you have the choice, and that's another thing they say about the presidency. Most people are going to vote saying, oh, well, I guess I have no choice. These are my two choices. Since when in a free, supposed free society, you only have two choices? How about none of the above? But that's what the media wants to tell you. Well, you got to either vote for Hillary or you got to vote for Clinton, even though you don't like either one. Why? So if I went up to you and said, you have two choices. I can shoot you to death or shoot you half to death. Pick your choice. Is one better than the other? Sure. Are you going to jump for joy as you're being shot half to death? No. How about, you know what? I'm not going to be here at all for you to shoot me. There are other options. How are you free if you only have two options? Why don't people get this? I am a high school graduate. I went this semester of school at Stony Yonta for one semester, and I realized it wasn't going to be for me, and I left. Why can I get it? And the people with college degrees that supposedly claim they are so smart can't get these things. And I'm not trying to raise myself up. It's kind of like, hello, Captain Obvious. All right, Rising Jake says, gee, maybe the actual doctor is responsible. We create our reality for ill or for good. Yeah. Frankenstein is the doctor. If he didn't create the Frankenstein's monster, there would have been no destruction that happened. But for the fact that he chose to do it, he has to take responsibility, even though he could say, well, I can't control what the monster does, and that's true. But if you never made the monster, you wouldn't have to be worrying about whether it was going to be good or bad. We made these monsters that now run our governments throughout the world, and all we do is complain about it and act shocked, when we can change it at any time. Because as much as Frankenstein might have not liked his creation, what did he do to stop it? It was ultimately the people that stopped him, not Frankenstein. You know, take responsibility. And Neo at Matrix put a link. I can't share that here. It won't show up. But if you put that in the comments section, hopefully it will be something good. You can post that in. Neo at Matrix also says, Putin crashes CNN smartass Fareed Zakira on Donald Trump in U.S. elections. Yes, because you know what? Putin doesn't want war. And again, I'll say it. How many places throughout the world does Russia have military bases? They have a total of 2. And they are right near their own countries. How many hundreds of bases militarily do we have around the world? And yet our government and our media is telling you that Russia is the aggressors. Just imagine the game of Stratego, or the game of chess, or the game of checkers. Let's keep it simple. Let's say there are 15 pieces on each side. I don't know how many pieces, it doesn't care. I don't care. Okay? The black side has 15 chips. We'll call them America. Russia has 2 chips. They're the red ones. So let's surround Russia with all 15 of those black American chips. And now think of it when America and American politics and Western politics, because even in Europe they do this, they say Russia is the aggressor. How is that possible? But yet, if you say anything, oh, you're a communist. No, I'm a realist. We have hundreds of military bases throughout the world, and yet Russia, who has 2 near their own country, are called the aggressors. Where have they done anything aggressively? How many wars have Russia started in the past few decades? Let's see. We went into Afghanistan. We went into Iraq. We went into so many other different places where we murdered plenty of people. How many have Russia done? Can you not get it? But the media will probably say I'm a traitor, or will probably say I'm a communist, but they won't even listen to this anyway, because if they listened to it, they would have to actually present it, which would mean more people would awaken, so it would never see the light of day. So it's just amazing how people are being so set up and they don't see it. But keep waving your flags, keep ranting, raise that wall, build that wall. Good luck trying to climb over it. And good luck thinking a wall is going to keep people out in a day of airplanes. You got to be an idiot to think a wall is going to stop you. It's going to stop mom and pop drug dealer from getting over the wall. It's not going to stop the drug cartels. So guess what? The major drug cartels that have their own private planes, who have their political connections in all the countries and make lots of money, you're now eliminating the minor little competition so they can make more money. People are so stupid. All right. Rising Jake says, I would love also your take on the possible existence of reptilians, non-human half-races. Until I see one, I don't believe in that stuff. To me, it's science fiction. They're leading you to believe this stuff so they could set it up. Look up Project Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam is their way of setting people up for this supposed alien attack. Why? To keep you distracted and keep you fearful. I don't believe in that stuff. Now, does that mean it's not possible? Anything is possible in an infinite universe. But until I see a reptilian creature that comes up to me and talks to me, I'm not going to believe in something like that. Now, that doesn't mean I'm right. It's my perception. So if you're asking my opinion and yours is different, don't get mad at me. I'm just saying because I believe differently. My question is, if you don't want to hear the answer, don't ask the question. So if you believe in reptilians, that's fine. Because again, like I've said, whether you believe or don't believe doesn't mean you know. So I'm not going to base my belief system on what other people's opinions are. If I ever got in contact with a reptilian, I'll be more than happy to believe in it and know about it. But until then, it's not something I want to touch, because to me, it's not important right now. If it becomes important and I have to change my ideals, I absolutely will. So I don't know if that's the answer you want to hear, but if somebody asks my opinion, I'm going to tell them honestly. So at this point, I don't believe in it, but my belief system doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. It's just my perception. So if they exist, I guess we'll find out eventually. And if they don't exist, they'll keep telling us that they do, but I'd rather have proof for something that disproves. So Russell Hall says the U.S. has been under martial law since the end of the Civil War. Absolutely. I actually said that earlier, but I'm glad other people are knowing that. Abraham Lincoln declared martial law, and then he was assassinated, and no one undeclared it. So it's been on ever since. They just don't tell you about it. That's why they give you the illusion of freedom. Go get all your possessions and try and leave the country and watch how fast you're stopped. How is that freedom? You need a piece of paper, a passport. You know, like the German said, papers, please. You need a passport to leave the country. How is that free? You need a driver's license to travel. How is that free? You have a Democrat and a Republican in supposedly a free society of anybody being president. How is that free? It's the illusion of freedom. I am having two hands in front of you, and I say pick which hand you want to punch you in the face. Is that freedom a choice? It sure is. You're going to like either one? I sincerely doubt it. So I'm glad to see other people are getting it. All right, Russell Hall says, Hey, Chris, like how you speak, your mind and truth. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Russ. I speak from the heart. I speak from the truth. That's why I do not read from a script. I do not plan my events. I don't have other people telling me how to think. I don't give in to pressure just because it's not a popular thing. I stand by my ideals. It's called integrity. That's one thing the trolls and the haters will never have. They can insult me. They can get a bunch of people to laugh. They can make up some chop videos. They'll find things that I've gotten wrong because no person on the planet is perfect. Show me any person that's gotten everything right, but they'll point out the only wrong things and never admit I've been right on anything. So according to them, I'm always wrong, which would mean my subscribers are idiots because they would follow a person that's always wrong. But as I've said, by their deeds you shall know them. So I appreciate that, and I'm glad people see it. I'm here because I care. There could be a lot better things I could be doing right now than doing this, but I'm doing it because it's right. And I wish more people would climb on board. Sunbeam Sting says they put the Christians against Islam and the young against the old. And don't forget the gay versus straight, the white versus the black, the Republican versus the Democrat. Everything they do is to keep us in our place. And that's exactly what the government wants. Slightly customized blue-collared 1978 quotes. Divide and conquer has been working since the Ming Dynasty. They got that from the Ming Dynasty's, I forget his name who did it, but the Book of War. And they've been using it ever since. And it still works to this day. We're supposed to be smarter. We're supposed to be wiser. We're supposed to be more technologically advanced. And the same thing that's been happening for thousands of years are still working to this day. How smart are we? When you call them out, you're called crazy. All right, Stephen O'Brien, and I thank you for your question, says, what's wrong with government handouts? Well, when you rely on government to give you everything, then eventually you don't do anything. And when you are relying on government handouts, now I'm talking about the people that are capable of working. I'm not talking about the single parent or the handicapped or the elderly that have no choice. I'm talking about capable people that are willing to rather get free stuff from the government. Because remember, nothing is free. They have to borrow the money to pay for it, which ultimately destroys the country from within. So he says, as far as I can see, the whole system is fraud, and I am under no obligation to adhere to an arbitrary value system that relies on paper. What I mean is, let them pay for the currency they demand to exist. And that's what most people have that attitude of. But the thing is, we're the ones paying for what they're borrowing. So you're saying, let them pay for it. We're paying for it. We're paying for it through our taxes. Every time you go to McDonald's, they take out taxes. Every time you use your credit card, they take taxes. Every time you get a paycheck, they withdraw your taxes. They're borrowing all this money to give you all this free stuff and handing you the bill, and you don't see it. Now, I'm not trying to insult you, Stephen. Unfortunately, that's the way they teach people. And that's what the attitude is most people about the free system. Get it while I can. I gots to get mine. Well, they don't realize that we're all paying for it. And you notice how we're getting broker and broker? It's because they're stealing all of our money. All that free stuff is being paid for by us. You think it's going to happen forever? Why is there 110 million people on welfare? You're telling me 1/3 of this country is handicapped or too old or too far gone that they can't work and make their own living? Come on. And I'm just saying this. I'm not saying this, Stephen, directly at you. I'm trying to say as people as a whole. You got to get it. This stuff is not free. The word tax is another nice word for theft. The whole bailout in 2008 was them using your tax money, not building bridges and roads, because if that was the case, look at all the bridges and roads around you. We're a third world nation compared to other countries at this point. And they used it to gamble on Wall Street. And when the gambling failed and the banks were going to go under due to their own stupidity, our government gave them a bailout, which we pay for. So they can go and put more money into the Dow Jones. That's why the Dow Jones has been so high ever since. They've taken all of that money and re-gambled it into Wall Street. And they convinced the idiots that the Dow Jones is an indication of how good this country is. But they don't tell you that our own government is buying the stocks, buying back the bonds, investing in Wall Street. People will find out the hard way. All right, so Stephen O'Brien also says, and this is to Sunbeam Sting, he says they play on the dichotomy of confusion that's inherent to the carnal mind. Absolutely. That's why people base most things on emotion and not logic. And he says that's why they see us as animals, because they stimulate and cultivate that part of us. Absolutely. Animals don't think. They react. You want to herd a bunch of sheep together, shoot a gun in the air, get them all scared, make loud noises. It scares them into a direction. They're not going to sit there and say, wow, See this line? They're trying to set us up for slaughter. We shouldn't do it. They don't think. That's why the average person that's screaming, build that wall, isn't stopping to think, well, wait a minute, in a time of a generation where we have flying machines, how is a wall going to stop anything? But they don't want to think that. So they use your emotions against you because people don't stop and think. And if they do, they're not going to be in the middle of that rally and question it because everybody will boo them. They'll feel uncomfortable. So they just push up their fists up and down. They follow each other. That's why when you see a riot, it's like watching a wave. They all push along each other. It's one entity. They know how to utilize people's emotions. That's why they get you angry and scared. That's all they do. Watch the news. You are either angry or scared. How often are you happy? There's a reason for that. All right. Rising Jake says, that's a sound answer, thank you. Says, distractions from one spiritual ascension around the whole 3D reality is rife with illusions and deceptions. It is. But you don't have to be part of it. When I watch a movie, let's say I watched the other day because I was bored, Aliens, the second movie. Just because I'm watching it doesn't mean an alien's going to pop through the TV or the computer screen and come and eat me. I'm watching it from a observational point of view. So when all this stuff, if it happens, I am not going to be in the middle of a riot. I'm not going to be one of the people suckered in. I'm not going to be one of those people that hasn't been prepared. I'm going to sit back and watch the show. You know what? You don't have to be in the middle of fireworks to enjoy them. And that's my point. You could turn this into a whole scary thing. You could shut this off and say, oh, this is fear porn. Doesn't have to be if you're not involved in it. Think of it that way. We're here for observation. This is a play. Life is but a dream. So you could participate in something you don't like, which is just dumb, or you can observe and not be one of the people. You don't want to get shot? Don't go into a riot where there are people with guns or potential guns. Doesn't guarantee you can't get shot. You could sit in your house and have that happen, but it's less likely. You got to think better. And I'm saying that because I love people. I'm saying this because I want to wake people up. I'm not here to insult anybody. I know some people say, oh, he's so cocky. I'm just confident because this is years of research based on things that I've learned, not things that sound good. All right, Russell Hall says, the band Genesis song, Land of Confusion, tells it, I'm sure you meant to say tells it like it is, but absolutely. This is the world we live in, and this is the hand we're given. Doesn't mean we have to play it. You know, when you play poker, you could bluff and hope everybody believes you, or you can fold. Or you could say, you know what, I'm watching everybody, they're cheating, I'm not going to play the game. How much money will you lose then? You may not win money, but you definitely won't lose, because if the game is rigged and you're stupid enough to play, well, whose fault is that? Again, it's all about taking responsibility, which most people don't want to do. And Stephen O'Brien says, nah, it's cool, man. I don't take it personally. Good, because I'm not trying to do any personal attacks to anybody. And he says, I appreciate you being straightforward. Don't you wish your politicians would do that? What about your media? There's a reason why live media programs don't take live calls from real people, because then they would have to have their bullshit exposed. There's a reason why politicians just read most of the time off of cue cards. They don't answer questions. And if they do, they're from people that have already preset the question, so they already know the answer. All these questions, I didn't know about them until I saw them. So I'm reacting from the heart. I'm not planning a script. No one's saying, oh, an hour in advance, this is the question I'm going to ask. Notice how I can answer them honestly and truthfully right away, and I don't need to have some plant come in and ask some, little puffed up question to make me feel good or look good. Name one politician that does that, or one media outlet that does that. And we allow it. We allow it by watching these programs, by participating in it, by getting aggravated by it. I get aggravated because this country is on the Titanic and it's sinking, and I'm on this boat waiting to get onto a life raft. And if these idiots would actually steer the boat, even though it wasn't an iceberg that sunk the ship, it was actually a missile. And even if it was an iceberg, if I knew ahead of time that the iceberg was ahead and I warned people to steer, if you steered the ship before that happened, it wouldn't have happened. Like the old Woody Woodpecker thing he used to say, if Woody would have gone straight to the police, this would never have happened. Duh. Okay, so I appreciate you don't think I'm attacking you or anything. I just, like I said, I speak from the heart. I don't plan my questions. I don't know who's asking questions, and I wish politicians and everybody would do that. Russell Hall says, you meant Sun Tzu, who wrote The Art of War. Thank you for that. Yeah, I didn't remember who it was. To me, little things like that don't really matter in the long run, but I appreciate you posting that because it is Sun Tzu, The Art of War. That was done centuries ago, and it still works to this day. I guarantee you, when he wrote that book, he didn't have the internet. It was a lot easier to confuse people that had no knowledge, and most people couldn't read and write. Nowadays, you're one click away from finding all the information you want, and most people won't do it. They'd rather look at a cat video or some idiot dancing around and talking about nonsense. And that's why those will get millions of views. And even this video might get 6,000 views, maybe even 10,000 views. But out of billions of people on the planet, not very good. But that's all right. You can't say I didn't warn people. And the people that listen, they will be better prepared. Because I can't guarantee any of this stuff will happen. Because you never know. A miracle could happen and we could stop it. Or something else could come along and just change the point of view. Or they might see something like this and say, oh, we can't do this because it's going to be proven in advance that it was set up. So we need to change it. But better to be prepared than not prepared. I guarantee you, if you have two cars, one person spends 20 years spending it on insurance, another person has 20 years just saving that insurance money, and then all of a sudden they both get into a car accident. One has insurance, one doesn't have insurance. I guarantee you the person that had it for 20 years, even though they paid all those premiums, they're going to be very glad they have it now. The person that doesn't, all that money they saved is going to be gone. And they probably spent it all that time, so they don't even have it anymore. Got to be careful. All right, so Russell Hall says, C-SPAN used to take phone calls live until truthers came called them on their bullshit. Absolutely. That's why they don't do it anymore. And when they do, it's staged people. You ever notice when the people that get interviewed on anything, they have perfectly white teeth, they're perfectly straight? If you ever looked at an actor and an actress, they have to look presentable. If you look at the average person on the street, look at the video of the average person, not some wealthy person, the average person. Now, I'm not saying they have 2 or 3 teeth in their mouth, but they're not crystal clear white. They haven't been bleached. They're not perfect in a row. In other words, they didn't go to a doctor and spend a dentist, $20, $30, up to $50,000 to get their teeth fixed. But you notice the people that ask all these questions, they always have perfectly straight, perfectly white teeth. I always question that because I saw people, yeah, you brush your teeth, but unless you bleach them, that wouldn't come out that way. And most actors have to look presentable. You ever notice they're all that way? You never see a person asking a question that looks like the average person you probably see down the street? All the world's a stage. That's why it's a tell-a-vision. Tell-a-vision programming. They are setting you up. And if anybody watched all this time, I absolutely commend you. The fact that 54 people are watching this right now is absolutely amazing for me. Unfortunately, if somebody like PewDiePie made a live video, there'd be 13 million people watching it. But you know what? These people care enough to do something. What happens is up to them. So at this point, I'm just going to answer the last 2 questions because I don't want to make this video too long because we know the average attention span of the average human is about 30 seconds. So I hope people will watch this whole thing. But if they don't, that's their loss. Maverick Freelance says, good afternoon, Chris. Good afternoon, Maverick. I am usually at work when I saw the start of your live show, but always watch at night or early in the morning. Since I am lucky enough to catch you live today, I wanted to take the opportunity to say great channel with great info. Keep it up. Maverick, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. To me, all of the stress I've dealt with, all of the insults, all the attacks, all the stuff that I've had to endure over the years is finally starting to pay off. I didn't do this to become popular because, trust me, I would have done popular things. And it shows how stupid my trolls are. At one point, I got so frustrated here that I didn't shut down the channel, but I pretty much gave up and started a comic book channel. And I would have been happy to stay there, but my trolls that stalked me here are idiots. They went and abused me over there and insulted me. If they would have left me alone, I'd probably still be there. This video would have never happened. So everybody always says, oh, you can't acknowledge your trolls, you can't talk about them, you shouldn't deal with them. If it was not for them, I wouldn't be here right now. If it wasn't for their stupidity, I wouldn't be here right now talking about things that some people appreciate. Because I would have enjoyed, because in the beginning, on my comic book channel, I was getting 0 thumbs down, people were loving me. I got my first 100 subscribers on that channel, even though there are thousands of channels talking about comic books within the first 3 weeks of my channel. I was up to 3,000 subscribers in a year and a half. There were channels that were there 3 to 5 years that it didn't even have 100 subscribers. But my trolls came along, started talking about my other channel, started talking about all this stuff, created this whole bunch of controversy, which I had to keep defending all the time. And I got to the point where I got so frustrated. You notice since I came back, I've made a video almost 7 days a week, every day, minimum of 1 a day. They've motivated me to come here and work harder. So you know what? Let's thank the stupid, idiotic trolls, because they're too stupid to know that if they would have shut their mouths, I would still be making comic book videos right now. But that's how stupid they are. So you got to see them for what they are. Don't be afraid of that glowing on fire head in The Wizard of Oz, because it's just the kindly old man behind a curtain. So when people say, oh, you shouldn't acknowledge your trolls, I thank them, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. But it's based on their own stupidity, because their goal was to keep me from coming back. Shows what idiots they are. And you want to listen to those people? They're the ones that tell you that I'm stupid about my gold and silver. They're the ones telling me that, oh, look, gold hasn't gone up. But they don't see the writing on the wall. That's what's coming. You want to listen to those people? Please, I'll give you their channel names. I'll tell you who to go to subscribe to. And you'll find nothing of value there other than a few chop-up insult videos. These are the idiots you want to listen to? Calling me crazy? And I acknowledge them because I laugh at them. They're stupid. They don't get it. And they'll find out the hard way. And I will be laughing so hard. Which is kind of mean to say, because nobody wants to see anybody suffer. But you know what? If you're evil, and you're going to do evil things, and you're going to sell out your fellow human beings and be traitors, then you deserve what you get. That's your fault, not mine. I'm just an observer. So Rising Jake says, thanks for all you've done, Chris. Thank you, Rising Jake. I appreciate that. And he puts in quotes, we are a way of the universe to know itself. Carl Sagan. You're absolutely right. The universe is within you. You just got to look it up. People don't want to hear it because that's crazy. You can't comprehend that. And Lucas, last question, gold, silver, land, seeds, etc. Okay, gold, silver, land, seeds, etc. This is what you need first. You always need food and water. So go fill up go with your food. Store it up. Make sure you get cans. Make sure you have vacuum sealer, things like that. Again, it's not paranoid. It's not fear. It's being responsible. Because even if you have a snowstorm and the electricity goes out, you'd be pretty happy you have food. Make sure you have gas, but don't put it anywhere where it could be set on fire. Don't be stupid. And make sure you have one of those fuel extractors, or what, I forget what they call them, where you drop some of this fuel stuff in the fuel so it doesn't go bad. If you know what that is, because I'm having a brain fart moment, post that in the comments section. But you definitely want food and water. You want to make sure it's in cans and storable. You definitely want to have your gold and silver. And you want to be prepared. You know, it's just, if it doesn't happen, then you know what? You took the chance of protecting yourself. You shouldn't feel bad for not having to use things that could be saving your life. If you never need it, that's a good thing. If you have a parachute in a plane, as much as you'd be happy you have that parachute, you really wouldn't feel too bad if your plane doesn't go crashing where you have to use it. So don't feel bad if you do it. Just feel bad at the idiot that convinced you not to wear a parachute, because you've flown thousands of times and it didn't go down, and the one time you finally give in to the peer pressure, the plane goes down, and you don't have your parachute because you gave in to the peer pressure of some idiot. That's on you. So at this point, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen. Again, what you do is up to you. I've exposed what I believe to be the fraud and what's coming. What you do with it is up to you. I am not going to tell you to do anything, but think for yourself. Stop with the peer pressure. Stop listening to the mainstream media, the politicians. They are setting you up. They are all going to succeed, whether they're Republican or Democrat, and they don't care about you. If they did, the world wouldn't be the way it is. By their deeds, you shall know them. So Sunbeam says, you're welcome. Thanks. At this time, I'm going to end the video. Please hit subscribe if you want to, and everything else, I leave up to you. Have a safe day. Think positive. Lose the fear. And remember, as passionate as I might have seemed in this video, this is all about love. Keep that in mind and never lose it. Peace out.